like to call to order the Winthrop Town Council meeting for August 1st, 2023 at 7 PM. We're in the Harvey Hearing Room. Roll call, please.
Council Honan.
Here.
Council Honan.
Here.
Council Pasillo.
Here.
Council Munson.
Here.
Council Belcher.
Here.
Council DeMarco.
Here.
Council Flockhart.
Here.
Council Aiello.
Here.
Vice President Ruggiero.
Here.
President Lettieri.
Yeah. I'd ask everyone who isn't already standing to please rise for the pledge. Led by Councilor Flockhart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Counselor.
We had minutes distributed from the July 18th meeting. Everyone's had a chance to go over it. Any discussions on the minutes? Motion to approve the minutes. Motion by Councilor Belcher, second by Councilor Fusillo. Any discussion, amendments, deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Public hearings, we have none this evening. Public comments. So now we have public comment on the agenda, and obviously, there are many people who would like to speak out. We're going to give everybody a chance to speak out who would like to. Just to understand, the council comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Public comment is meant for cooperative spirit. I'd like to remind everyone to be respectful. Please refrain from personal attacks or hostile remarks. In addition, we would ask for no applause or boos from the audience. When you stand, please state your name and precinct. Now, before we start, just to get everybody up to date, I'd just like to bring the audience up to speed on how we arrived on the proposal that we submitted last Tuesday, and hopefully we'll be able to clear up some of the misinformation or confusion that's out, but we're still here to listen to every comment you have. Back in 2018, the town manager hired a architectural firm, Kessel Bruce.
There's nothing we can do. He's speaking.
There's nothing we
That's
can
just the
do.
way it's developed and set up. We have to close the doors if everyone doesn't just cooperate, so we're doing the best we can.
Move it to the auditorium.
Open meeting.
This meeting could not be moved. We need a 48-hour notice. We would have had to move it Thursday. We didn't realize the extent until this weekend. There will be so many public forums on this subject over the next 3 months, and we hope that we have the attendance we have tonight. Just to get back to the 2018, Kessel Booth, an architect, was hired by the previous town manager for a proposed fire station public safety building. 2019, after a year of service, there was a televised public forum at the senior center to discuss 10 targeted sites. 2021, another televised public forum at the senior center with updated pricing and 2 specific sites. At that time, the 2 specific sites that they focused on were the 7th hole of the golf course and the A field at the Little League. Late in 22 into 23, we focused on 2 different sites. The current station on Pauline Street and the proposed site, which we proposed last week on Winthrop Street. Brought up again since 2018, we've obviously had new councils, and at these meetings, it was discussed on the middle school site. The middle school site, the town has felt, has always been considered as a plan for economic stimulus in terms of revenues for the town. Both focused on sites that we have recently been focusing on, the existing fire station at Pauline Street and the proposed fire station at Winthrop Street. Both involved eminent domain takings. The proposed site, which we have proposed last week, involved 2 friendly takings, while the Pauline site involved 7 to 9 takings with potentially hostile takings. Also discussed displacement of the existing firehouse on Pauline Street during construction if that site was ultimately chosen. We as a town council would never also want to lose a single business in this town. Winthrop prides itself on our retention rate among businesses. The town manager has already reached out and talked with the chamber, along with the landlord of the Wadsworth Building, to begin the process of identifying potential sites for those wishing to relocate. The town manager and the Wadsworth landlord will be meeting next week with owners of the meat market and have future meetings with any other interested tenants. We also, as a town, as a council and as a town, have an obligation as well as a strong desire to assist in any moving of any business into any new location. The process from now till November would be as follows. It's already on the website in case those of you have not had a chance to look. If you go to the town website, there's a tab right at the top that mentions project updates. It's a little drop-down bar. The first project update is this proposal. It's about a 7 or 8 page pictures and read. This evening, there'll be a Firehouse Building Committee named. The Firehouse Building Committee over the next 3 months will have public meetings. They will also have public forums, many public forums on the plan. They will try to educate and answer any questions asked, including site location, including displacement, including cost to the taxpayers. And then November 7th, there will be ultimately an election. There will be a ballot question, which would include this proposed plan. It would be a sorry, I'm trying to.
It's a little hard.
It would be a debt exclusion question on the ballot. The debt exclusion would not have a set price. It would be a debt exclusion for a proposed plan. It would involve a 30-year debt repayment by the town. Obviously, well before that, within a couple of weeks, we will have numbers for you as to, I mean, we have a ballpark now, but we will have numbers for you in terms of individual costs for individual homeowners in the town. I realize this does not answer many, if any, of your questions, but this is a process, and we ask you to understand the process, ask questions, and reach out if we can help in the process. I myself will be holding increased office hours on Mondays from 2 to 4 at Town Hall, as well as Wednesday evenings from 5 to 7. I will now start the public comment process, and I will call on you. If anybody wishes to speak, just ask. I would first ask Sandro Semino and give Sandro the opportunity to speak.
Good evening, Town Council. My name is Sandro Semino.
Speak up.
I am here tonight with my brother Patty Semino. We own and have currently operate the meat market, Semino's Cafe at 224 Winthrop Street for the past 38 years. Recently, we found out that the town intends to take the property by eminent domain. We found this out by customers calling, asking us questions, and when we were closing. We had no idea prior to that, and immediately started thinking of how we survived as one of the oldest businesses established in town. We were a bit panic-stricken about how we would just do the move. Will the move affect our customer base? Where do we move, and who pays the cost of relocation? Who pays for the increased rent that we may incur? We made it through COVID. With the help of all you loyal customers, obviously we have a lot, all you people here.
Recording in progress.
Only faced with the cost of supplies and everything else going up, it's been a hard time for all of us. We want you to know and the public to know that we don't intend to close our business. Our business is our primary source of income for our families. Since we posted a statement on Facebook outlining our values on being committed to the community, supporting the town departments, nonprofits, school organizations, and fundraisers for those who find themselves in need or in any other cases. We have heard from the town council president and separately from the town manager, even though he's on vacation at the moment. We are encouraged by the comments that they plan on assisting us, the business, in remaining in Winthrop. I hope this council understands the value that we bring to the community, and we want to stay. We know the firefighters support our business and our loyal customers, and we support them as well. This is not a statement against the building of the firehouse, which we understand is needed, and support that as well.
Thank you, Sandy.
Excellent.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Sandy. You say that.
Yes.
Yes, Terrence Delahanty, Precinct 6. I'm here tonight, obviously, as a loyal customer and also a strong supporter of the meat market. Over the years, they've helped us, police and fire, parks and recs, fundraisers, people that have had illnesses that other people are doing fundraisers for. And over the last 30-some-odd years, 30-plus years that I've been going in there, you know, they've become family and not a business. They're the closest thing. They're just as close as my family is to me, my brothers, my sisters. My daughters and my wife are here, way in the back, and to get my wife here, is certainly a moving event. So I want everyone to know that I expect as a taxpayer and a voter of Winthrop, that the council, the manager, and government put together a plan for relocation, increased costs of rent, and to ensure that they have comparable space in town. Again, support the fire department. I understand their need. You know, I've been in their firehouses. They're our friends as well, and strong supporters of the meat market. So that's my expectation of the council. I wanted to make sure that you understood my expectation as a voter, but also we have a footprint in already that we've done this. We've done this on the rebuilding of Miller's Field. We did an eminent domain taking of personal property, and we had to reconstruct that property. I expect them to be given the same benefits that we gave that business in town. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Gaynor, Precinct 4. I've been involved with numerous nonprofit organizations over the years in Winthrop, WCAT, Chamber of Commerce, and several others. And I have to tell you, the meat market has been incredibly generous since the day they opened. And I know they give to so many causes without any recognition, because that's not why they do it. They do it because they want to give back to the community they love. And Zanjo, Patsy, I hope you know we love you.
Thank you.
Simply put, the meat market's the epitome of a good business. And as much as I am in favor of a new fire station, it's way overdue. I just think that displacing a business that means so much to the community is not the right move. And as well as a church and other businesses, you know, relocating is not an easy process. I know this personally. My father had a business for many years up on Route 1 in Saugus. He was also a tenant, and the building was sold. And I tell you, it is not something I would envy anybody having to do, especially having been in the same spot for over 30 years. So I'm just asking the town council to please just listen to the sentiment of the community. Please choose a more fiscally sound alternative and find a better location. Thank you.
Frank Costantino, Precinct 2, also a business owner here on Pauline Street and a frequent customer of the meat market. In fact, I knew Patsy before he even came in, when he first started his business, when I had my own business in the Wadsworth building. There are a number of considerations that I think the town council needs to be open about, needs to be informing their constituency, the many residents of this community about what is actually going on. To get a bombshell like this about the deal making that's happened without public input, I think is a disservice to the people that have put you in office and in the decision-making forum that you're in right now. It seems to me that the planning process needs to be expanded a little bit more to consider, for example, a whole series of properties that could be available further down on Winthrop Street across from Harold McCormick's florist shop as one option, for example. Another could be the property takings of the two garages at the head of the center down on Pauline Street. But the fact is that the notices of how this process is going to be working and how the council tends to inform and engage the public is very, very important. The other aspect of this that's not being thought about is the fact that this whole Metcalf Square area is a historic cultural district. There's history to that Wadsworth building in terms of its age, in terms of its character, in terms of its size, in terms of its presence in this whole Metcalf Square place that is now considered historic. So to have a deal behind at least not informed to the public, to go ahead with a $30 or $40 million project and a bond that has to be underwritten by the vote of the constituency here in town seems to be a bit of a disservice. I think other options should be explored more carefully, and in all due respect to Chief Wiley and his staff and the previous 4 chiefs that I happen to know personally, prior to him, the fire station is a necessary object. There's no question about that. But I think the social aspects, as well as the commercial aspects, that a place like Patsy's affords to the community, a place like Brown's used to afford to this community, is something that has tremendous value, should not be overlooked, and should be part of the planning process that has to go into this. The fact that this town does not have a master plan, does not have a vision statement, is really a disservice to everybody in this community. And there's no reason why this town, the council, or people that want to assist in this process can't devise a master plan and a vision statement that will allow us to move forward in an intelligent way rather than this gangbuster fashion that's happening right now. So I think the fire station idea is very worthwhile. I think the options that you provided to the town for some choices is not there, and I think further study definitely needs to happen. So thank you.
Again, getting very familiar with the gentleman in front of me. Precinct 2. Like this gentleman here, I would ask that the council consider an alternate location. But I would like to speak briefly about your comment regarding the old school, the middle school. It's been vacant, we all know, for decades. Much has been discussed about reusing it. You talk about the town's decision to not use that and develop it for the economic benefit of the town, depending, as I'm sure you've considered, what use you put to that property. Economic development becomes a loop. It's like a gerbil on a loop. You develop it into housing, and you need more taxes because you stress the schools. You develop it into housing, and you need better roads, or keeping the roads intact because you have more traffic. This town does not need more traffic. So, and sort of lastly, I would add that I heard some comment, and I don't really know, I don't remember from whom it was, so I won't attribute it to anybody, but something that the intent to develop a public safety building, fire station, police station, health department. Now, well, we're just going to spend the money and build a new fire station. Maybe someday we'll connect it to the police department if we use the Wadsworth building with a tunnel or a bridge. With all due respect to our police department, your building is a mess. Your building is a mess. Not your fault, not your fault at all. It's old and I think it needs to be replaced. I think the town should consider a public safety building, and I think it should really consider that location of the middle school in connection with what you think you might want to use it for in the future and how it will adversely affect the economics of this town.
Just to make a few comments on your statement, because you were on track with, I think, everything you said. I think there is a plan, not to go into tonight, on the middle school, and I totally agree, and I've said from day one that a previous town manager wanted to build 200 units there, and I thought that, we can't absorb 200 units, and you make an incredibly valid point. When you bring in units, there's a gerbil effect, because and we are 100% pro-education. We're not dismissing the fact that we want to bring children into our community, but to absorb a hit of potentially X amount of children, it has a huge impact financially. So any revenue you might be getting in from taxes it goes right out the back door, right? It's just a spinning wheel. That's not a plan that we'll be presenting. I think incremental development is something that's just going to happen, and it should happen throughout a town. I don't think we're at a point, or we'll ever be at a point, where we can absorb multiple units like that. So I appreciate that point. And not discouraging, it hasn't been decades, it's been an awful long time. It's been 7 or 8 years, which is still, 2 years is probably too much, but thank you for your comments.
There was a
Yes.
hand in the back.
You know, we've talked about the meat market, but we haven't talked about the burrito place,
Recording in
the
progress.
florist shop. All of these are gonna be impacted by putting something on a narrow street where you've now eliminated parking all along one side because of a fire station. So they should be worried too, because there's no parking there. So I just can't, that street is narrow, there's always trucks trying to go down it as we're getting in and out of our cars. I cannot imagine trying to get the fire engine and stopping traffic there constantly. It's also around the corner from a building with small children. Why would you put another fire station near small children? Places where they play can run out. I don't get it.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Daniel Alicia. I live in Jeffrey's Point Shirley. That's where I came from. That was a long time ago. Yes.
It's not a voter.
They still won't let me be a winter person. There's another aspect, even though this is all great, and I agree with them 100%, everybody, there's another issue too. It's the fire station, we're losing at the Point Shirley. It's critical to us. And you're adding on more time and more distance to get to any kind of emergency in any parts of Point Shirley, especially the furthest points towards Deer Island. So I'd like you to keep that into mind too, as you're taking your votes. Hannah, I'm sure, is behind all of this because she's our representative. She must be working hard at it to bring this to your attention, I hope.
Good job, Hannah.
But we are concerned. We had a group of people meeting the other night, and we're all concerned about losing our fire station there where they can be there in a minute, not 3 minutes, where it's critical. Somebody having a heart attack towards Deer Island, you need those 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it is. And them coming across town in the traffic is gonna add on another couple of minutes, even with sirens going. I timed it today and I drove it, there is a difference in time. I stopped at all the stop signs.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Scott. We appreciate the stop signs.
And with the fire department going through stop signs, it's still an added time to get to anybody in an emergency. So I'd like to add that to the
Conversation.
rest of the session.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Vasily Nalios, Precinct 5. I think one of the most important parts of Winthrop going forward is for us to generate revenue in this town. We are always, year after year, saying Winthrop doesn't have enough money. Winthrop doesn't have enough money. I am absolutely in favor of a safety building, but we cannot put it at a location, for example, the middle school site, where it will generate revenue. I am not in favor of more development for housing, absolutely not, but I do feel that there are opportunities out there that the town council can explore for us to use that property for revenue. If we're able to put both building, safety building, and a revenue generating building there, fantastic, take advantage of it. But we cannot close ourselves out of that. Another thing that I think the town also needs to look a couple years down the line is we have 50.5 acres of land that we lease out to the golf course. How much revenue do we make off of the golf course? It is 50.5 acres. If we wanted to send that out to developers or looking to lease that land, possibly put solar panels there, is that an opportunity for us to also generate revenue? We do not explore different ways to generate revenue in this town. We depend too much on taxes. We're now including trash fees. We're increasing water. What is going to happen? We're going to continue to increase with these types of fees, and we're going to push people out of town that can no longer afford it. It is on the town council now to find ways to generate revenue, take advantage of the opportunities that we have in front of us. I commend you guys for going ahead with this. This is fantastic. Is it the right location? You know, that's up to the voters here to decide in November. I'd also like to bring up one other point. Why is it okay for the voters to vote on this fire station in November, but it wasn't okay for the voters to vote on the changes made by the Ordinance Review Committee for the changes to the charter? I believe the votes were taken by the council, but I will tell you right now, I had very little information regarding those. I wish the councilors and precinct members had gone out and had town meetings and office hours to at least tell us, hey, this is what the Ordinance Review Committee is coming down the line. What do you guys think? Is this going to benefit us later on? We look too close at the small instead of the big picture of the town. And we need to start really moving the town forward. So I thank you guys. Keep it up.
Yes, Jack.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been talking about...
Jack Dowd, precinct.
Yeah, Jack Dowd, yeah, precinct 1. I've been talking about the middle school site and Ingleside Park since 2017. The map used by this council and the planning board and other committees is an error. They're using the GIS map, which states that you cannot use this for any type of decision-making in the town. I've done research on the middle school classroom site. It was a site that was that had the old high school built around the turn of the last century. My research tells me that the area of that site is 1.19 acres. The GIS map that everybody's been using since 2017 shows that that area is 0.91 acres. 1.19 acres is over 50,000 square feet, approximately 53,000 square feet. So on 50,000 square feet, you could build 5 duplex houses, so it's 10 units. If you build them high-end, by the time they get done with them, they could be worth $1 million apiece. That's a lot of revenue. The gentleman asked for revenue. I'm proposing revenue for the gentleman. The rest of the land in that area, including the auditorium, the gymnasium, and the hockey rink, are built on parkland. If you want to change the use of parkland, you have to go through Article 97 disposition of land in order to make those changes. It's a process that usually doesn't work. Nobody on this committee or previous committees has picked up on the language that I proposed and given to the town manager and yourself, 20 pages of history of Ingleside Park, built in 1902, with 10 acres from Dr. Ingalls and 3 acres donated by the town, not donated, but given to make a 13-acre park, the first park in the history of the town. With the removing of the trestle, the train trestle, and putting on Walnut Street, you lost 2 acres. So now it's approximately 11 acres. It says so on 2 reports done in 2005 and 2016 by members of the community that the parkland is approximately 10 or 11 acres. You cannot use it for any type of development, field house, or anything else until you go through the process of Article 97, which I've been talking about for since 2017. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I don't see any hands, but that's okay. We're gonna go to Zoom, and then if you guys are thinking of more questions, we'll come back to the public.
Open the door outside and ask if they have questions.
We'll see if somebody has, one more question here first. Well, not one more, but you're next, Kathleen.
Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Hi, I'll try to talk loud. Hi, my name is Kathleen Capuccio. I work. I live at 49 Waldemar Ave. Just a couple of things I'd like to say is, one, unless there was really logistic reasons why this meeting is being held here, I don't understand. We've got our brand new high school that has state-of-the-art video functioning. There is probably maybe 100 or 200 people outside. Everyone in this town knew that there was gonna be a lot of people at this meeting. And I think it really just does a disservice to not to have had this meeting here. I really think it was a really big mistake. So again, for the future, if there's a big issue like this, please utilize the buildings that we have and the taxpayers have paid for and have a meeting there. I, for one as well, love Patsy and Sandro and the meat market, we all do. They're again a huge benefit to this town. The one thing I would like to say, however, is, again, not however, but when it comes to, eminent domain takings, the relationship that the town is going to have and the communications that the town can have is going to be with the landowner. So I think to an extent, where the town and the town council and the manager were coming from, you're only going to be able to speak to the landowner. I would urge some of our townspeople to look to Chris Young, who is the owner of Wadsworth LLC that owns the building. And again, pursuant to what we heard at the last council meeting, he was in agreement to sell the building. Unfortunately, people that are in that building are lessees, they're tenants. And sadly, their rights are kind of minimum. But I think at this point, the town council has got to know this is an absolute no vote in November for this site. It's not going to happen. I am in absolute favor of a new fire station. Again, I have not personally toured our fire stations, but from what I've heard, they're bloody deplorable. And I think it's disgraceful that our men and women that put their lives on the line for us are working in such conditions. And I hear that they don't even have certain rooms that they're supposed to have pursuant to law, like a contamination room and certain other areas that I don't have the expertise in. And again, I think the council needs to go back to the drawing board. I think it is a terrible waste of resources for this town to go forward with this site in November. It is not going to pass. And if you think it's gonna pass, I don't know what else you need to know. It's not gonna pass. So please go back to the drawing board, because this site is not going to pass, and we don't have any more time to waste. Thank you.
What happens on November 7th? I'm a little confused. You talked about the debt exclusion vote.
Yes.
And I realize if it gets voted down, there'll be no fire station.
Well,
but is the
there
vote
will.
going to be on the Wadsworth location or just the debt exclusion vote?
It's the plan, it's the proposed plan. The
The whole
vote is
plan.
on the
So it will be
proposed
on the
plan. Like if you go
the
to the
location.
website, look at the proposed plan, that's what it will be on.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Josh Aronoff. I'm the Joe Iannello's principal. I'm an engineer. I work on a lot of projects. When you plan a project, the usual process is define the goals, define what you want to avoid, come up with a plan, revise it. I get the impression, I could be wrong, but I get the impression that the process is backwards in this case, that the town had a conclusion and they're working the way in reverse to justify it. I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but that seems to be what happened here. Also, the chair said something about having a plan designed by architects, and yet they had a plan, but they were figuring out a way to put it down in the town. That makes no sense to me. Every site is different, has a different layout, the streets are in different places, the utilities are in different places. You can't have one design that you can plunk down here and plunk down there, especially in a place like Winthrop. So that makes absolutely no sense from a design perspective. To some of us who have been trying to get the middle school redeveloped, it's about the details, the devil's in the details. The existing fire station's on Pauline Street, it's pretty wide. The proposal is for Winthrop Street, which is pretty narrow. What's the turning radius of the fire apparatus? If there are snowbanks plowed up on both sides of the street and then cars aren't parked too well, what does the truck need to turn? A wide street's better than a narrow street. The Pauline Street site has access to the center, it has access to other, it's on a wide street, it has access to Walden Street, which is a wide street, it has access to get down to Main Street. There are worse places to put a fire station. I understand there's other issues with it. I tried myself, I took the RFP that the town generated, I tried to even take it to my own CEO because my company was looking to relocate. Didn't work, I took it to a few people. But that is an eminently developable site as far as I can tell. And the town's been sitting on it for years, I don't know how many, but it was at least 2 or 3 years ago that I tried to get somebody interested in the property. That site should have been developed by now, and it should be producing tax revenue. But it hasn't, so if it hasn't, maybe it could be used for a fire station. When you're talking about taking an existing property that's going to hurt or kill a local business, you should always do that with a lot of hesitation. It's very hard to run a small business. It's even harder in Winthrop where there is no through traffic that passes through Winthrop. If you have a business in this town, the only way you can survive is if your immediate neighbors buy from you. I don't know Mr. Semino, and I've eaten there a couple of times. But I've eaten his food. I'm not a regular customer. I don't have a dog in this fight, but I don't want to see any small business in this town get hurt. I just don't want to see it happen. Small businesses are important. And finally, I'm not objecting to building a new firehouse. The existing one is ancient. I remember the windows situation. It's ancient, and in January, the firefighters came to rescue me. They came to my house and got me out of my house and into an ambulance. And I'm lucky to live in a town where you need help, it's only a mile away. And when they come, they're your neighbors and your friends. I'm lucky that way. But I really wish the town really needs to think about the process that resulted in this, because I don't think it was done right. It seems to be done backwards. Anyway.
Thank you. And just a couple of things. On the designs, we hired an architect back in 2018. They're totally different designs. There was one design for, the only designs they've made for us was a design for the Little League A field, okay? A design for the 7th hole of the golf course, which was completely different. And those designs each had 2 phases. It could have either been done as a fire police station or phase 1, phase 2 on both sides. They both had pluses and minuses on size. They were different in scope and everything else. And this is a totally different site. And, we have heard the discussion about the street being now, and the turning radiuses, we've had the fire chief also involved, obviously, in this process, because he knows a lot more than I do and anybody else in the council on that. But we obviously, and I know your council actually brought up that point several times on turning radiuses, making sure that it was, appropriate for the location. Sometimes people will look at a building and look at where it is now compared to where it will be, how far back and deep and everything else. But I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much.
Each site has got to be unique.
I'm sorry?
Each site is going to be unique. It has to have unique design.
It does, absolutely. Yes, Betsy.
Thank you. Betsy Shane, Precinct 3, but speaking for the Winthrop Chamber of Commerce. We all know that we need a firehouse, and we want to be able to support that. What I want all of you going forward to keep in mind is there are numerous businesses in that building, not just on the 1st floor, but on the 2nd and 3rd floor also. And we've got to keep that in mind going forward and what that might look like, because there is almost no retail or office space available in this town. If you moved them all tomorrow, there wouldn't be spaces to move them to. So we've got to keep in mind that, and also the fact that this town is built on only small businesses. There's no industry here. And we all support each other. It's been fantastic, but we have to keep supporting that these guys can, if they have to move, have a vehicle and resources in order to make that happen.
Yes.
Andrew Guilfoyle, Precinct 6. I'm an Army veteran and stuff. Metcalf Square is right there, we have a memorial there. Would that be affected at all by this construction? Would that be altered in any way, shape, or form?
No.
How could that be true? With that
Excuse me, sir, I was just
Oh,
asked a
sorry.
question, I
Apologize.
answered it.
I apologize.
And it is not, and obviously it was something taken into consideration, it is not.
All right, thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Yes. With those small streets right there, you're telling me that that memorial is not, that land is not going to be moved at all? That memorial is not going to be moved? I find that hard to believe. I don't know how that ends up that way. I apologize, but. I just
No,
wanna
and
get
that, you have every
the
right to
width
ask
of
the question.
street.
I will say that the police go up there, that street now, back and forth on that street with the memorial, that's
Right,
what
we're
they
talking
changed.
about fire, I apologize.
No, but no, absolutely well taken, I'm just answering the question. Sure. Anybody else on Zoom, anybody on Zoom? No.
Anyone else that wants to speak on public comment?
Thanks a lot,
One gentleman coming in.
All right.
How you doing? Ray Carielli, Precinct 2.
Hold on one second, Ray, just let it calm down a little.
Ray Carielli, Precinct 2.
Yes.
So the middle school, I was just wondering, because I think all three of these guys need to be replaced, fire, police, and EMS. The police station is deplorable. I don't know if you've seen the inside of that building, but it's not nice. And the fire stations, and the EMS down in their little hole they got in the wall down there, twisted shape. So for as far as revenue, did they think of maybe second floor offices over the middle school where it's like daytime and then the people are out of the town?
At the middle school?
Yeah, if they
Okay.
did fire, EMS,
Oh, okay,
and police,
okay.
and have second floor for like, rental space for offices. So you're not bringing more kids in and more schools and more taxes and you get some revenue out of it. And I don't know about the architecture, the engineering, I'm just speaking as revenue versus, paying all at once, that's all.
Okay. So I will say, and somebody else brought up this point, and I wrote it down, and I never responded to it, but in this plan, public health is in the building,
Yep.
and EMS is in the building,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, no.
No, in the proposed plan.
Yeah, it just seemed a little small.
And we're not discarding, I mean, we've talked about, this gentleman had the fire at his house, and
Yeah.
we're lucky not only to have the fire, but, police has been incredible, and we know that there's a need at some point for the police,
I love
but,
my whole community.
but this
I love Sandra,
proposal
Patsy,
does
and-
include
I love
firehouse, public health,
Yeah.
and ambulance service.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
I just
you.
feel like, that might get some more revenue in, no?
Ambulance could potentially get revenue in, yes.
No, like offices above.
Oh, no, not offices above. It does have, a tower, so to
No,
speak, with a
not your
couple of
proposed
floors.
one, I'm saying the middle school.
Oh, at the middle school, they add floors.
Yes. Well, that's it.
Thanks, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, John Stacio from Precinct 3. I just have a few things about the Wadsworth building. Is that one of the buildings that's protected in the town, historic building or anything?
It's in, I think Mr. Constantino spoke earlier, it's in a historic district. It is not the designation of a historic building. There would definitely be different items we would have, at different thresholds we would have to reach if we were using federal funds, say, to make a change.
Okay, but has anybody considered also the amount of money it's gonna cost to knock that building down, get it?
Yes, it's all in the.
And, and then also the access, if you're building a fire station there, having all those trucks pulling out into that street, which is narrow, and then you're dealing with the monument there and the traffic in the intersection. It just seems to make more sense to take the Helco Safety Building on the other side of the fire station and expand it right to Fremont Street, and then go up, and then if the fire truck's gonna go in and out, it's real easy, just as it is now, it's less traffic consuming, and plus, why would you wanna put all the businesses out of business, where are
We
they gonna
don't.
go? Patsy's been there, what, 40-plus years?
Almost
And every time something comes up in the town, he's the first one reaching in his pocket to help people. And I think it's a crime to get that, and plus the 8 office spaces up above. I mean, they bring revenue into the town, they pay taxes, right? They say, so I just think that, leave that building alone, and it would cost less to renovate and knock down the existing firehouse and take the land next to it, knock that down, be a lot less, and build something back with the same type material, so it will last 100 years, like this one. Because today's construction materials aren't the best, and 30, 40 years from now, it's like, oh, the walls are falling in, the floors are cracked, nothing's working. So I'm saying, if you're considering building a new building, don't cheap it out. Go with the steel, the concrete, build a building so it will last just like these ones. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Lois Baxter, Precinct 2. I'm totally opposed to building a fire station at the Wadsworth building. There's no way that fire engines can be pulling in and out of that narrow street. You know right now, whoever did the center didn't do it properly because a fire engine coming down your street can't even turn. He has to back up. So I wouldn't trust any consultant to tell us they do the right job. I totally believe that the old school should be a public safety building for both police and fire. The police department is sitting in a building full of black mold. Why do it all together? Don't be wasting money buying another building when you've got a school down there. They can pull right out onto Pauline Street, not bothering anybody. And when they come back, they can pull in through the park if you build a road. The police can park behind there also. Don't think that, hopefully, God forbid, you're not trying to put condos down where the old school is. You can't move in this town. Look what happened this weekend. They had to do high water rescues because the town was flooding everywhere. You need to put a police station right on Pauline Street with police and fire, an ambulance. There's plenty of room to do it if it's done properly and not wasting your money taking over buildings that have done public safety buildings. Wilmington, Natick, Revere, they're all in one big area for themselves, and they all get along well. And it can be done in that size of a lot. Enough is enough of this town. You're killing us. You can't get out of Winthrop anymore in the morning or in the evening coming home because there's so much traffic. Do the right thing. Give the police and fire a nice building down on Pauline Street. They deserve it. They protect our lives every day. Get the police out of that crummy old post office that's full of black mold.
Good. We're good, Jim. I want to give everybody else a chance. Anybody else?
Dave, can you check in that hallway, see if there's any other
I have a simple question.
Yes.
Sorry, I got
Name and
running
precinct on
Sterling Brown, up in the highlands.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay.
Brown.
No. I just couldn't hear you.
The question is, I looked for town council meeting minutes online. I did not find them. I did find some financials, council minutes or committee minutes, very abbreviated. Not something I would consider actual minutes. I'm coming from a background of running finance for large corporations. I expect something better from write-ups on these committees. So I want to know, are the council meeting minutes posted anywhere?
Yeah, are you talking about council, these minutes, or council subcommittee meeting? They're both posted online. And even this evening, the first item on every agenda is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting,
Okay,
which we did.
I didn't find them, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. President, just so you, the minutes won't be posted until after they vote.
Right,
She was
but
looking for the last
I
council
didn't even
meeting.
find the meeting 2 or 3 months ago.
All right, I'm sorry, yes.
I'm sorry to do this again. Speaking of minutes of meetings, maybe I wasn't on the right site or something, but I was looking for last Tuesday's meeting. minutes, and apparently, last Tuesday's session was an executive session.
No, last Tuesday, we had an executive session, then we had a meeting. The meeting, until we verify the minutes tonight and approve them, then they'll be on the website tomorrow.
Any minutes of the executive session?
Minutes of any executive sessions are not posted until whatever the item was discussed in the executive session comes to fruition. You know what I mean? So if it was a disciplinary
So it
issue.
wasn't the Wadsworth building that was discussed in executive session?
No, we can't, you know, there are certain things you can discuss and not discuss in executive session, but, yeah, anything that was discussed in the executive session eventually comes out when the issue is resolved, and then it's brought before.
Whether it's resolved affirmatively or negatively?
Oh, yes, regardless. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. I sincerely want to thank everyone for coming. We appreciate all your comments. I've known Patsy for over 50 years. Nobody in this town, I believe, wants to put anybody out of business. We do what we think is right. It's not always the right thing sometimes, but we spent a lot of time on this. This is not something that we did overnight. This is something that has taken years and years. We came to a decision that we feel is the right decision. Obviously, there's going to be disagreement. We just ask for you to understand the process. We're not telling you how to vote. We just want you to understand the process, understand the plans. If you have any questions at all, always come to a council meeting, always call me. I'm easy enough to get a hold of. I will give you the best information I can and get it in a timely manner. I do thank you again. I thank Patsy and Sandro for coming. And, you know, obviously this issue isn't done tonight. There will be much more discussion on it, but I'm going to take I'll take one more comment. I'm sorry.
My name's Tricia Noonan. I'm from Precinct 6. I'm just curious, when the vote comes on and it's a no-win situation, just say it goes no completely, does that mean no fire departments, no?
No, it means if it's an obviously clear vote, a negative vote, it would be no fire station at that. It would be no fire station at that site, probably, right? I mean, it could come back as a public safety building. It could come back in a different form, but obviously, if it was overwhelmingly no, why would you do it again? Would be my thought.
But it's a no-win situation. If you could go forward now, making the right decision, I think the community is going to vote no. So now we lose completely a new fire station.
No, we potentially we lose a new fire station at that site. We don't lose, there isn't.
More time.
You lose time.
Lose time,
You lose time.
And money.
I can't go, I'm sorry, I can't go on and on more now, but this has been discussed since the 80s. We brought together a proposal in 12 months that we thought was the right thing for the town. The town will ultimately decide. But I thank everyone for their comments. Again, please reach out. We're meeting every other Tuesday night here, and there's subcommittee meetings, and individual councilors, I'm sure, will have office hours. But we're going to take a 10-minute recess, 5-minute recess. Oh, okay, thank you. We are back in open session. Correspondence, I've received, as I'm sure councilors have, correspondence regarding the proposed new fire station. I did not see any other correspondence. Have you, Council?
The only other correspondence that we had was from the woman about the fire tanks, the gas tanks, but of us, Steve Calandro, Lieutenant?
Yeah, Deputy Chief.
Deputy Chief, geez, sorry, Steve. He took care of it, and he's been corresponding with her.
Okay, thank you.
I saw correspondence on the Almont Street changes.
Yes,
Okay.
I saw that.
And there was one correspondence that I received today. It was about a set of stairs near Pico Park going onto the beach. That the set of stairs had a step missing, basically, and we informed DPW, and that will be fixed tomorrow. So thank you to the citizen who reported that also. Committee minutes, committee meetings, committee reports. Let's start. Vice President Ruggiero.
Thank you, Council President. The Rules and Ordinance Subcommittee met twice since our last meeting, once on July 27th and once just before this meeting today. The meeting before our session today was, I think, the most attended subcommittee meeting that we've ever had, but unfortunately they were not there to comment on the item at hand. They were just here early to get a seat. But on the July 27th meeting, we discussed the municipal law motion that was presented to the council from TSAC originally, then through to the town manager, and then to us. That motion specifically regards the 4 spots to my left out front here. The proposal would designate them for 30-minute parking for town hall or library use only during the posted business hours. And then the handicap spot would be moved to the lot back here, so there would be 2 handicap spots there. The veterans spot would be moved to the E.B. Newton, where the Veteran Service Office is. Our discussion was generally in favor of that motion. The motion passed 2-0 out of committee, and I circulated that to the council. We need to have a public hearing on that at our next meeting, so I request that we can have a public hearing and then vote on it at our next council meeting, because it's a change to our ordinances. But one thing that came up was the Veterans Food Bank is offered, I think, in this building on a monthly basis, and within our municipal lot ordinance, it's built in that the police chief may designate someone to put up temporary signage in all municipal lots. So on the days of the Veterans Food Bank, if parking was an issue, we could designate those spots as veterans parking during the time that the Veterans Food Bank was in effect. In conversations with the town manager, it doesn't seem like these spots are in heavy use, so it didn't seem like that's something that needs to be done, but we have it there just in case we need to do that. The second item on the agenda that night was the transient lodging and Airbnb discussion. We had a really healthy discussion on this. We talked about a lot of general themes that this council, along with the town attorney and the town manager, need to think about while taking up this issue. A lot of it revolves around parking,
Recording in progress.
trash, number of occupants per Airbnb unit, where the property owner must reside, how we're going to handle noise, who's going to enforce these rules, what the punitive process would be. Would there be a license limit, or would we just try to go ahead and get everybody licensed who already has Airbnbs, VRBOs, or whatever exists in between that? Like I said, there was a really healthy discussion on it. Councilor Munson has volunteered to put together some thoughts, themes, and somewhat of a position paper for the Rules and Ordinance Subcommittee to kind of present to the council, and then work with the administration to put together an ordinance on it. But I think we didn't take up any motions, but I think the sentiment of the folks in attendance that night was that our current ordinance is inadequate, and we need to kind of start from scratch and come up with a better plan and try to keep up with the times, because we know that this is something that's happening in town. So we want to just make sure that our ordinance is commensurate with, what current societal,
Best practices.
Best practices are, exactly, surrounding lodging and tourism and things like that. Earlier tonight, at our August 1st meeting, in attendance were myself, Councilor Munson, Councilor Belcher, and Councilor Fusillo. Councilor Munson and I, representing the Rules and Ordinance Subcommittee, we discussed the dress code that was referred to us at our last meeting, and we have voted 2-0 in favor to update Council Rule 11 to include language as follows. Council members are expected to dress at a minimum in business casual attire at all town council meetings, including subcommittee meetings. This is something that we all talked about as a council, so we tried to put that together in some concise language for us to all adopt this evening or some other time.
No, we could do that this evening.
And that's our committee report.
Thank you very much. School Department report, there has not been a school committee meeting since our last meeting. The school committee will be meeting Monday night. It's incredible that we're, come Monday night, we're 3 weeks away from teachers going back to school, so it's incredible how the summer goes by. Town manager report, town manager is away on a scheduled planned vacation. He will be back, and he will be back next week, and he will obviously be at our next meeting. And I know he was extremely disappointed to the fact that he could not be in attendance tonight. It wasn't for any other reason other than he had planned not to be in the state. CDICR will have their next scheduled meeting August 9th. And we will go to old business, and we will go right back to Vice President Ruggiero.
Okay, there is a motion coming out of Rules and Ordinance that reads as follows. The Rules and Ordinance Subcommittee recommends that the Town Council amend Council Rule 11 to include the following section. Council Rule 11, Section B, subsection 6, council members are expected to dress at a minimum in, quote, business casual attire at all town council meetings, including subcommittee meetings.
There's a motion coming out of committee with a favorable recommendation, does not require a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote, please.
Counsel Honan?
Yes.
Counsel Fusillo?
Yes.
Counsel Munson?
Yes.
Counsel Belcher?
Yes.
Counsel DeMarco?
No.
Counsel Flockhart?
Yes.
Counsel Aiello?
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes.
President Lettieri?
Yes. Motion is passed. Committee appointments, I have several appointments which I'll take individually.
I guess Fetterman can't serve on this.
Excuse me?
council.
So, that the town council affirm the appointment made by the council president for the following terms to expire on June 30th, 2026. Board of Appeals, Mark Chapdelaine. Is there a motion? Motion by
Second.
Council Belcher, seconded by Council Fusillo. Any discussion on the motion? Councilor, I'm sorry, Vice President Ruggiero.
So this is a new appointment, it's not a reappointment. If this were to pass, how many open positions would be remaining on the Board of Appeals, just given that a few meetings ago, we voted to expand the Board of Appeals by one member or two members or whatever.
Right, we went from 6 to 7. I believe this fills the board, but I'll ask Council Clerk, who is looking it up as we speak.
6, this will fill the board. No, we'll still need one more.
One more?
Mhm.
Okay, so we will still be looking, and which we will talk about if we want. We will still be looking for one member of the Board of Appeals if anyone is interested. Right now, we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Any further discussion? Thank you for the comment. Any further discussion? Councilor Munson.
I trust Mark Chapdelaine's sense of judgment and his professionalism, and I think he'd be great to have back on Board of Appeals.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The town council affirms the appointments made by the town council president of the following for their terms to expire on June 30th, 2026. To the planning board, I am appointing Jason Palutro. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilor Fusillo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Belcher. Discussion. Councilor Vice President Ruggiero.
Same question. If this is a new appointment, not a reappointment, if this passes, how many open positions would be on the planning board?
I know the council clerk is looking this up. My understanding is the planning board as currently constituted at 7 will fill it. But let's just clarify.
Yep, we're all set with the planning board.
Okay. Any other
7.
discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
One abstention.
One
Abstain.
abstention. Two
Abstain.
abstentions.
3.
Well, you already voted, so we can't vote and then abstain, so.
I didn't vote.
Take a roll call.
5 to 4, I think,
Division.
it's 5 to 4. 5 yes, no, 0, and 4 abstentions. The town council affirms the appointment made by town council president of the following for their terms to expire June 30th, 2026, the CDICR, Rachel Alabiso. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilor Fusillo.
Second.
Second by Councilor DeMarco. Any discussion on the motion? Council Vice
What board
President.
is this for?
CDICR.
Okay.
Vice
Same
President.
question. How many openings if this passes?
I believe one. I believe one because I asked the council
We have
clerk
one
this
more.
this morning.
John Morgan and I had talked about this morning.
Yes. So there would be one still out there for a CDICR appointment. Appeals. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I see. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Town council affirms the appointment made by the council president for the following for their term to expire June 30th, 2026. Finance Commission, can I take these three at once or individually on these also? I was just, where there's multiple on the same boards.
Reappointments, I believe.
They
I mean,
are.
that's just my opinion. but-
Okay. So the appointments are for Karen Chavez, Joseph Hanlon, Shannon Pulhos. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor DeMarco, second by Councilor Belcher. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The town council affirms the appointments made by town council president of the following for their terms to expire June 30th, 2026. Council on Aging, Alice Haskell and Linda Cronin. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Belcher, second by Councilor Fusillo. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The town council affirms the appointments made by town council president for the following for their terms set to expire June 30th, 2026. On the Parks Committee, John Dowd, Patricia Singoella. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Belcher, second by Councilor Fusillo. Any discussion on the motions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No, the ayes have it, unanimous. Town council affirms the appointments made by town council president of the following for their terms to expire June 30th, 2026. The Historical Committee, Richard Farino. Motion? Motion by Councilor
Second.
Fusillo, second by Councilor DeMarco. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Welcome back, Mr. Farino. Town council affirms the appointment made by town council president for the following term set to expire June 30th, 2026. The TSAC Committee, Transportation Safety Advisory Committee, Julia Wallace. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilor
Second.
Fusillo, seconded by Councilor DeMarco. Discussion on the motion. Seeing,
Same question. This is a new appointment to that
it's a
committee.
new appointment, I believe, and we are going to check into this, but we believe there's one more appointment.
Okay.
So this was may I?
Yes.
This was something that she was, that you brought to her attention or she brought to your attention? It's just a suitable appointment that everyone's happy with?
She was previously on this.
She was previously on it. I think she's very happy to be back.
Great.
Question.
Yes,
Do we have an
Councilor Aiello.
application from her?
We do?
An
I-
application, we pulled it up from the previous application. We
Okay.
can get a new one if we want.
Well, we
Yeah,
could absolutely get
I'd
it.
like to see a
She
circulated.
sent an email requesting to be.
Right, she had sent an official email requesting to be appointed.
I'd like to see that documentation first, please.
Right, so you
Email?
can-
Yep.
Okay, I can send it to you.
So do you
All
want to
those,
push
in
off the
fa-
vote?
we can't, it's old business.
We can
It's
abstain or say
Right.
no until.
So, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, no or abstention?
No.
No.
I'll abstain, just. 'cause
Seven
pending
ayes,
information.
1 abstention, 1 nay. New business, proclamation. I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice President Ruggiero.
Sure.
And ask to be mentioned, to be noticed.
The chair, interim chair recognizes Council President Lettieri.
Thank you. I'd like to make a proclamation recognizing Mike Erizzioni Day. Whereas August 26, 2023 may not be a historic date in our history books, it is a date that our town should remember Mike Erizzioni for his achievement in what most called an impossible dream, or more appropriately, a miracle. Whereas on Sunday, February 24th, 1980, the USA Olympic team beat Finland to win the Olympic gold medal game, and whereas 2 nights prior, Team USA played the supposedly invincible Soviet Union team in a semifinal matchup when, with 10 minutes left in regulation, Mike Erizzioni snapped a shot just inside the post on the blocker side to give the USA a 4-3 win and hold on with Al Michaels' famous "Do you believe in miracles" line to advance to the finals. Whereas Mike Erizzione has donated his time, financial contributions, and experience through his Winthrop Charities Foundation for many deserving individuals and organizations within his beloved hometown, the town of Winthrop recognizes the importance of celebrating this day for Mike Erizzione. Whereas the citizens of Winthrop will enjoy a movie night on the beach Saturday, August 26th, with a showing of Miracle. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Winthrop Town Council extends its support in celebration of August 26th, 2023 to be named Mike Erizzione Day, and encourages all residents to join in the commemoration and recognition of the many contributions Mike has done for our town. Further, be it proclaimed that in recognition of Mike Erizzione Day, the Town Council authorizes the town administration to fly the 1980 Olympic flag with a 21 insignia on it from Friday, August 25th, 2023 through Monday, August 27th, 2023, consistent with the town policy, flag policy. I'm making that proclamation. We'll make it in terms of a motion.
There's a motion made by Council President Lettieri. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Councilor Aiello. Is there any discussion?
I would have made the
Munson.
save.
Councilor Munson.
What's the dates? You said the significance of the date was February 24th was when we won the gold.
February 24th is when we won the gold medal. The reason why I, in discussion with others, this is a day that we have planned, Friends of Winthrop Beach have planned to do a showing of the movie Miracle. We thought it was in accordance with that. It would be a very nice gesture on the town to make more of this, to get more people down to watch this incredible movie, probably the best sports movie ever made, maybe Rocky, and to honor somebody. It is not on the specific day of the gold medal game, but it is a day that our small town can celebrate with Michael and his family.
Gotcha, thanks.
Councilor Flockhart.
Also, I was wondering why you did it on that date as opposed to the day they beat the Russians, which was the game I watched. And I'm not a hockey fan at all, but I watched that game.
I don't think anybody wants to watch the game in February on the beach.
Councilor Aiello.
Just as a note, I'm delighted with doing it. I know a lot of us in this room and in this town travel extensively, and the only thing, I would say 90% of people, when I tell them where I'm from, Winthrop, they say, Erizzione.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable.
He's a national
It's really
hero.
remarkable on a
National
national
hero.
and international basis, so God bless him.
Any other counselor wish to be heard on this? I'll just say, as far as proclamations and policies goes, this goes within the policy that we passed. It's in accordance with the town event, which is the movie night on the beach, and it's also under the provision related to do with professional sports, as it's tied to, I guess the Olympics isn't a, professional sports team, but
It
it's
is
still.
nowadays.
Yeah, and nowadays, I guess professionals can't play in it. Back then, I guess not, but, it is, I think, within an accordance of our policies, so.
This,
Council Munson.
This, just to reiterate, this would need to be this proclamation would need to be made every year for it to continue in perpetuity?
This is the proclamation, you can speak on the.
The proclamation is for this weekend, for that weekend.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why the proclamations raise the flag on Friday instead of Saturday is because people are in town on a Friday to make sure that if they wanted to be there. And I've talked to Mike, and Mike will be there also.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other council wish to be heard? Just, if we could just have a copy of that circulated to the council, just as
Sure.
a practice, just because we're new with our flag policy. We want to make sure that, we have sort of these things in advance, and it's not happening until the end of the month, so we have some time on it, but sounds like we're ready to vote on this. I'll ask the clerk to take a roll call vote, please.
Counsel Honan?
Yes.
Counsel Fusillo?
Yes.
Counsel Munson?
Yes.
Counsel Belcher?
Yes.
Counsel DeMarco?
Yes.
Counsel Flockhart?
Yes.
Counsel Aiello?
Yes.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Yes,
President Lettieri?
Yes.
Thank you.
motion passes.
Still would have made the save.
Not with that foot.
No, not with the foot.
All right, Firehouse Building Committee. Per the charter, the council president on any special committee is the one that appoints the members to a special committee. Roberts recognizes that this is one of the most methods of appointment. The town council president may also, on this situation, select the chair, which I am not going to do. So the Firehouse Building Committee, it's, there's much thought put into it. There were many people that asked to be put on it. I ask everybody to respect that this committee in no way, decided what was being done, and they had no input in terms of the proposal that came out of this council. They are here to do a job. They are here for the next 3 months to educate and articulate the thoughts of the council, the thoughts of the town manager, the thoughts of the fire chief, and to pass on the information that we presented in the report. They will hold, their responsibility will be to have multiple meetings. I would assume that they would meet at least once a week. They will have, all their meetings will be public, all their meetings will be posted, and they will hold a minimum of 4 public hearings. The public is welcome to every one of their meetings. The public hearings will be held in a location suitable. They will have plenty of notice. They will be posted in the newspaper, and we will do everything we can, and we don't see any reason why they won't be televised. This is more of, at this stage, this is more of a procedural thing to align everybody and to get everybody on the same page in terms of the plan. If the debt exclusion did not pass on the ballot in November, this group would be disbanded. If it passed in November, this group would carry on as similar to the school building committee. This will be the Firehouse Building Committee. It will, working with the town manager, they will hire an OPM. They will look at hiring a new architect or continue with the current architect. They will look at an engineer, and then they will go through the process, and they will be there step by step of the way. They will continue to have meetings as the school building committee did, and they will be disbanded once the completion of that facility is done. I will now name the Firehouse Building Committee. It will consist of the council president or designee. It will consist of the fire chief, Scott Wiley, or designee. It would consist of Frank Constantino, Paul Flanagan, Karen Chavez, Kim Dimes, Tom Chedina, Josh Castellano, Jill Dorr, Larry Powers, Christopher Boyce. We have experience here in historical. We have multiple experience with fire. We have experience with finance and previous building committees. We have 2 architects on here and the chairman of the planning board. So we try to be as diverse as possible in the selection. We will have 4 alternates. Some of these choices were made just by schedules and such. We will have alternate, and the alternates will be participating in as many meetings as possible for them to attend. They will be able to make up a quorum if there is not one there. The alternate would be Councilor Joe Aiello, alternate Dennis Bedreau, Charles Flanagan, and Town Manager Marino. And I would also like to name an honorary member, and that would be Richard Bangs. Years ago, when they were selectmen, many years ago, when they were selectmen, not even in recent years, they appointed and I'm going to mess up this term, but fire commissioners or
Board of Fire Engineers.
Board of Fire Engineers, and they each had a selection, and Mr. Bangs was one of them. And up to present day, I don't want to share Mr. Bangs' age, but up to recent years, Mr. Bangs still made weekly visits to the firehouse to check up on. He's very interested in the project, and I'd like to name him an honorary member. So he will be named as an honorary member. I don't know how many meetings, if any, Mr. Bangs would be able to attend, but I know he will be participating online, and hopefully we will be able to get him there to many meetings. We have another round of public comment. Mr. Dodd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jack Dodd, Precinct 1. Possibly, I don't know, because it was executive session with the discussion of the sale or purchasing of property, maybe concerning the 3 prominent buildings up here on Winthrop Street for the firehouse. That could have been discussed, but we won't know that until the minutes of the executive session come up. So they should come out. It's not personnel, so the public should be aware of what was discussed. From my understanding at the meetings, these 3 prominent buildings up here, there were 3 cups put on a table with a bean under 1 cup. They shuffled them around, and the lucky winner was the Oddfellows home, being left out of the discussion of where the fire station should be. I've talked to many people about the location of the firehouse, and I don't think that the Oddfellows building should be left out of the equation. And so I'm wondering how you get to the conclusion that 2 out of the 3 buildings were better situated than the Bean building. So hopefully you can release the minutes of those executive sessions so everybody can understand the process. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I cannot obviously respond to anything in executive session, but what I can tell you is, and we've been very open about this, one of the major points of any discussions along with this is the understanding that we believe that a police station has to be taken care of in the future, in the near future. So any location we picked in this area would want to be adjacent to that building. But I can't comment on anything, but I don't know where you got information because it's an executive session, so.
Are those minutes going to be released?
They will not be released until the project is completed or the vote does not pass. Public comment. Ms. Chavez.
Karen Chavez, Precinct 2. First of all, Vice President Ruggiero did not ask how many members were left open on the Citizens Advisory Finance Committee. And I believe there was still 1 opening.
There
You
is.
appointed 3 tonight. I think there's still 1 opening.
There is.
Can I respond?
So we are looking.
Yes.
for
Yeah,
we are looking for somebody.
we are. And I'll let Council Vice President respond to that.
Those were reappointments, and I'm very familiar with that committee as I serve on it with you, so I was
Okay.
aware.
No. This is Citizens Finance.
No,
not,
right, but the
Finance
FinCom,
Commission.
right, so that's a joint commission, right?
We're not
No.
FinCom. we're
Thank you.
Citizens
Okay, no back and
Thank
forth. Karen?
Okay, also, I sat here tonight and listened to all the conversation about fire station and debt exclusion and whatever. I think people are still very, very confused. A yes vote in November says yes, we will go ahead with the project as it stands, and the money will be bonded. A no vote means the money will not be bonded, and we will not go ahead with the project. I think they need to understand this and realize that if the project does not go forth, it has taken us, is it 5 years now since the architect was hired? I don't want to miss.
More than that.
Since 2018, they were hired, so 5 years plus.
It may take us another year or 2 years to find another spot for a new fire station. It's not, if you vote no, the project is still gone, but we still get the money. It's not that. It's not two separate votes. It's 1 vote. You either vote for it altogether or you vote against it.
Thank you. And I think, as we just stated, the Firehouse Building Committee, their purpose is to educate and articulate properly. The plans are online, as we mentioned, on the town website. But yes, that will be repeated and repeated because, you want people to have the best information possible to make a decision. Anybody on Zoom, Denise? Thank you. We will close public comment. Public relations, I will say, Well, first I'll say that we do still have one open position for the CDICR. We have one open position for the Board of Appeals, and we have one open position for Citizens Finance. Please send an email, application, give us a call. Send all correspondence to dquist@town.winthrop.ma.us. And there is also an opening on Airport Hazards Committee. Also, public relations, which we discussed earlier. Movie night on the beach, Winthrop Beach, August 26, 2023 at 8 p.m. See the movie Miracle and relive the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. Thank you to Barbara Bishop and her group. And thank you for bringing it to our attention, too.
It's the whole committee.
It is, but I see you right there, and it's easy enough. But it is going to be fun, and let's hope, pray for good weather. Councilor Honan, anything?
Nothing.
Councilor Fusillo?
Nothing.
Councilor Munson?
I did want to say a few words, if I may, about the discussion today about the firehouse. I kind of empathize with the frustrations of this town, and I actually really, of all things, I really love the heart of Winthrop. Ultimately, this town is coming to the defense for small businesses. That's a big statement about this town, and being a small business owner, I love that. It makes my heart melt. So I applaud this town's heart. I do feel as though that there's some mistruths, some myths and misconceptions that need to be dispelled, and that's what the Firehouse Building Committee is all about, and I look forward to them to dispelling some, things like the narrow streets causing problems for the fire engines. Why would they propose it if they didn't think they could use it? There's a lot of setbacks. I don't want anyone to also think that there's some nefarious process that we're conducting some backroom deals. We are sworn to secrecy on some of these things before it can be revealed. It's not our job to talk to the lessees so I don't want anyone to think that we're sitting here colluding or that Jim has any kind of undermining motives to get his competition out of business. It's crazy talk. So this was done professionally, above board. There are some bad options that we had to rule out. If you look at the flood this past week, that's why 2/3 of the choices weren't available to us. Winthrop doesn't have a lot of public land to choose from. We only have so many things. And you know what? That place wasn't flooded this past weekend at all. And it's a great location strategically. The fire department chose it. And I'll tell you right now, we will not let any of those small businesses go unhelped finding new places if this plan does go forward. And I personally will see to that. So I just wanted to thank everyone for giving their heartfelt comments and concerns, and I look forward to coming to some kind of compromise. Nothing's easy making big decisions for a small town like this, but I think we'll eventually work something out, and everyone will move forward. Thank you.
Councilor Belcher?
None.
Councilor DeMarco?
I just want to say that I agree with 80 to 90% of what Councilor Munson just said. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Councilor Ayala?
None.
Councilor Flockhart?
Nothing, thank you.
Vice President Ruggiero?
Wednesday, August 9th, there is a basketball tournament at the Walden Street Courts that's hosted by CASA and the Winthrop Police. It is for youth in grades 6 through 8. There will be free food, lawn games, music, and more, and of course, the basketball tournament, but this is funded by the Shannon Grant that the police department and CASA jointly qualify for. So a great example of the town and a local nonprofit coming together and making things happen, especially in the dog days of summer where a lot of, I was in 6th to 8th grade at one point, and we all were, and growing up in this town, we always say there's not enough to do for the kids, and this is a great opportunity. So,
Free
wanted
food.
to pitch that, yeah.
What was the dates?
August 9th.
Vice President Ruggiero was in 6th to 8th grade not too long ago, when I think back to my 6th to 8th grade.
Well, he was a valedictorian.
I do want to thank Chief Wiley for sitting in for the town manager and give you the opportunity if there's anything you wanted to say tonight. We really didn't, you didn't have an opportunity to speak. There was no town manager report. Do you have anything you'd like to add to the
No, I just look forward to working on this committee and working with it and hopefully seeing this through its fruition. It's a desperately needed building for the community. And one thing I just want to say, the doors to the firehouse are open. It's your buildings, to everybody who's watching or listening. The station, they are your buildings. The doors are open. If you want to come and see the condition that the buildings are in, come by, ring the bell. Whoever's on duty will be happy to show you around.
Thank you. And I do ask, and we will try to get an email out from the council clerk tomorrow to the appointees to the Firehouse Building Committee, and they will need to come to Town Hall to be sworn in at some point, hopefully this week. And their meetings, there will be a site on the town's website for them with their own page, Firehouse Building Committee, contact information, and meeting schedules. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilor DeMarco, second by Vice President Ruggiero. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.